Thank you, Mr. Sunil Vattal, for joining this podcast series. Myself, Shekhar Soni. I lead the enterprise research business within Tech Circle team. We track roughly around 100,000 organizations within India. Their IT spend, their digital initiatives that they are doing, and what are the going forward initiatives they want to take. We all know AI and data are some of the very useful areas or the things that are being talked about by our IT leaders. And for that fact, we have our CIO community group, C-Suite Circle, wherein we have around 500 plus CIOs registered with us, and we keep sharing these informations on a real-time basis. So harnessing those areas only, we have started this digital podcast series wherein we try to uncover all those thought leadership ideas from the CIOs, from CTOs, or from IT leaders, how they are looking at this and how they are performing those initiatives within their organizations, how they are looking to take those initiatives, taking care of privacy, you can say governance and all those models. So for today's podcast theme, we have selected a topic, harnessing digital platforms. And with me is Mr. Sunil Vattal, who is one of the most senior IT leader in the technology domain. He has had some real experience with BDO recently, and he has worked with Haryana government as a joint CIO and led various digital initiatives within Haryana government. And he has profound experience in performing those initiatives and leading those digital programs one-handedly. Welcome, Mr. Sunil Vattal. So before we get started, I would like to know from you, how do you think these initiatives are driving and how do you feel these organizations are moving forward? And what are the areas where they should be more concerned or more, you can say, more forward-looking there?
I think we need to be abreast of the latest changes in the technology, the latest developments in the technology. Obviously, a lot of focus these days is on utilization of AI, using it for new initiatives and also data analytics. I think a lot of new initiatives have to be data-driven. Focus is organizations are keeping a focus on data-driven decisions. Decision making is now being done more by data analytics, using data analytics and also AI-based decisions. So that's the latest trend, and organizations are trying to leverage on that.
Data has always been the oil for any of the organization to work on. Using that data effectively is something very crucial. In fact, we have from our research very recently uncovered that more than 75% of data within the organization is still at a very rudimentary stage. It's very unstructured and organizations are not able to figure out how to use that data. So it becomes very critical. And privacy, ethics, and governance becomes very critical factor to get those data to run these insights. So I want to know from you how organizations should focus on privacy, data privacy, trust and security to fulfill those, you can say, data related insights needs.
I think you pointed out rightly that a lot of data is not getting used. So I would say it's more than 75%, which is data is unstructured. A, it is unstructured. B, it is not used. Probably we at this point of time don't even know how to leverage that data. So as we see, there are two components: data which can be proactively used, actively used now, and data which is not being used but may be helpful for future analytics. So having said that, and you touched the aspect of data privacy, what is very important here is that organizations need to have a vision for data privacy and security. As data becomes very common, as data utilization becomes high, there are serious concerns about data security, privacy, and ethics. So organizations need to bake this into their own vision and mission. The organization needs to have a data policy. So data policy, privacy policy is an essential thing that an organization has, and the organization has to build up credibility with its customer base vis-a-vis having adequate data privacy measures, data security measures. So I would be willing to share my data with an organization only when I know that this organization has robust policies in place, has robust structure in place. So that's very important to have organization data privacy policies, have structure around this. And also, all of us know that there are also statutory and regulatory requirements for data. So it goes without saying that those requirements have to be met, and no organization should falter in that. They need to make sure that those requirements are met, and in fact go a step ahead. Because what is happening today is I might think that my data is secure, but people who hack into my data, they're more smarter than me. So you have to be always one step ahead of your adversaries. You have to be one step ahead of your competition. That is what your proper data privacy security will give you a competitive advantage.
Right. In fact, we have heard from various BFSI leaders that it is a very stringent compliance to store 5 to 7 years of past records or data of customers very securely. In fact, they don't even touch those data points, those data that is stored and kept safe. But again, I think if we keep storing those data in future, how will we be able to extract those values? Because they are afraid today. Also, they are afraid to touch those data because that is stored there. That's because of the compliance issues only. You can say new rules coming around. You have to place a DPO also in your organization who will look after the data protection. Don't you think these are going to reduce some of the business values, some of the business outcomes, reduce some of the speed to utilize those data as quickly as possible?
I wouldn't say that it would reduce the business value for the pure reason that you need to use that data, but you need to use it smartly. In fact, even if there are regulations, there's no regulation which prohibits you from using that data. Only thing is, it wants you to use that data in an adequate manner and in a proper manner. So you need to work around it very smartly. If you have got all your things in place, if the data storage is proper, if it is properly encrypted, if it is properly masked, then you're not breaching any law, you're not breaching any regulations. No regulation says that you can't use this data. They say you can use this data subject to A, B, and C. So as long as you follow those A, B, C, D guidelines, you can and you should harness that data. As you pointed out, people have data and they're not using it. That has no value. If you're just sitting on data without using it, without utilizing or without analyzing it, then it has no value. In fact, it needs to be used, but it needs to be used in a proper manner.
Yeah, very rightly said. In fact, data is coming from multiple sources, not from one source. And in fact, there have been a flood of digital platforms within our ecosystem in recent years. And these have also led to evolution of fake news and fake information also within the ecosystem. What are the measures that organizations should take to curb these fake information, fake news, and get those credible data points as quickly as possible? Because these are something that can disrupt the business values also at the end. If this fake information is not, you can say, curbed as soon as possible.
See, fake. If you have got fake data in the system, that actually is a big blot on the credibility of the organization per se. So if we're looking at fake data and things like that, it creates a lot of it erodes your user trust. So your users, your customers will not trust you if they think that there's a circulation of fake data and misinformation within the system. So and it could impact brand reputation. I mean, it could impact your brand reputation, it could impact user loyalty, and also it could invite regulatory scrutiny if there is fake information roaming around. So what needs to be done is, first of all, I think organizations need to understand that transparency is paramount. So you have to promote transparency. You have to have, as you rightly pointed out, you have data privacy officers. You have to put in place content moderation. So whatever content gets displayed, whether on your website or whether in your communications or your public communications or through your product brochures, has to be moderated properly and have ethical practices around data. So having ethical practices is paramount. And also there needs to be a team because sometimes what happens is, even unwillingly also, there is a misinformation which gets circulated about an organization. So you need to have a proper proactive crisis management team in place. So misinformation has caused a lot of damage to the brand reputation or to a particular organization. So you need to have a proper crisis management.
Great, rightly set out. In fact, maintaining your data and keeping data safe and maintaining the right data within the ecosystem is the most important thing for the organizations. In fact, for the organizations as well as for the government also. Because government is also something, or people who are related to government, following those policies, they are also related somewhere. The data points are coming, and we have seen fake news coming from various other, you can say, public rallies or public information systems. So we need to look after that also. And you have also worked in a state government at a very senior position as a joint CIO. How do government teams function vis-a-vis as compared to private organizations? How do they exactly move forward in taking decisions in driving those digital transformations within the government ecosystem?
I think in the government, there has been a huge improvement in the last decade. I would say at least last 5-6 years, there's been a huge improvement. We were in the very early stages earlier, but with the Digital India initiative, most of the state governments are pushing for digitization. A lot of things are getting digitized and sensitivity is there. And they're doing it in a much structured manner, especially government bodies, central government bodies, which are sort of augmenting the state governments in driving these initiatives. I have been involved in some of the initiatives myself for one of the states. So I think it has emerged, it has come out, it has matured over time. Although there is a lot of things to be done still, but very satisfactory. The progress in the last 8 or 10 years has been very significant. Things are in place. A lot of structured processes are there, which probably 10 years back we would not have thought possible. We would have thought it will not happen, but it is happening. And what is also very important is that awareness is happening, that awareness is getting percolated to the users, to the officials. So there is a lot of push. There's a lot of stakeholder push from the top in pushing these digital initiatives, which is actually helping.
Can you just highlight some of the initiatives that the government would be driving, looking at this AI revolution? What do you think the forward-looking initiatives government is planning? Any AI-led initiatives or any initiatives that can restructure or strengthen our complete ecosystem or complete infrastructure within the, you can say, government and public infrastructure, that is most precisely to happen?
There are a lot of initiatives, specifically name some, but there are a lot of initiatives. I'll give you examples. There's an examination, there's a entrance test for something. So today we would use face recognition for the entrance exams verification. So we're past the Aadhaar verification now. It would be face recognition so that nobody impersonates you appearing for that exam. Similarly, we use for travel. I'm not talking about India. There are certain countries who are using for travel related data, for your immigration data. You just don't have to stand in an immigration queue for 2 hours. You just walk in and it just scans your, something like a Digi Yatra. If you're aware about the Digi Yatra. Yes. With Digi Yatra, we don't stand in a queue. I mean, if you are properly enrolled in Digi Yatra, if you're willing to enroll there, you do your check-in in a jiffy. So initiatives like that, and also the public distribution systems where people get touched. You can use AI initiatives for that screening. A lot of initial screening is done for example, for the public distribution system where people are giving in information. So a lot of cross-validation can be done, and it is being done. It won't be fair to give some of the examples here because these are real-life examples, but a lot of cross-verification is done because there are applications which talk to each other now. Or my income tax application talks to my bank application, it talks to my job application. I'm applying for a job somewhere, it talks there. It also talks to my academic record. So, for example, for a job, if somebody is to be applied for a job somewhere and my verification is to be done, my academic credentials can be verified from my DigiLocker, which interfaces with the academics of the universities. So all those initiatives are there, and I think there's a huge scope. For government initiatives, we are not utilizing AI fully yet, but there's a huge scope for this, and in coming times, I think in the next 10 years, we'll see a lot of change.
Right, and rightly pointed out, in fact, government is moving at a very good pace in these digital initiatives. And in fact, they are very focused on forming good teams also. I have heard chief AI officer as a role coming in private enterprises, and I hope this will come in government enterprises soon. And there would be a structured team also that is going to get formed. But how do you think these work ethics evolve in government organizations? A separate IT team, we are keeping a separate IT team, a separate digital officer, information officer, separate AI officer within government team. We have seen that happening in private companies. But how do you think this is going to transform in government organizations? Is there going to be any friction, or is it going to get easily, you can say, dispersed around all those executives or senior government officials? How do you see this transformation happening within the government?
See, this transformation has to happen, but it will be difficult in government. As compared to a private setup, it is difficult in government because there is a great resistance to change. Yes. In any case, there is a resistance to change. That's human behavior. But in the government sector, that resistance is more. Possibly, there are other factors also. There are certain factors. For example, there is more transparency. What happens is all these initiatives bring in more transparency and accountability. So when people feel that this initiative is going to make me more accountable, those people have more resistance. But ultimately, and there will be resistance. It's very difficult. If it's a new program which I have to roll out in a private setup and I have to roll it out in a government setup, it's difficult. It takes time. It takes more time. So if it would take me, let's say, time t somewhere, in a government setup, it will take me t plus delta t, rather n times t. But people over time have realized that this thing is going to happen, especially the push that we have from program, the push that we have from apex bodies. The apex bodies are pushing this Digital India initiatives and the things. So these apex bodies are giving that push. So ultimately, it boils down to the fact that a government official sitting in a small office in a tehsil, he knows that he has no alternative. He may escape it today, but in the next 2 months or 3 months, he has to be a part of it. Otherwise, he'll perish. So we have to understand that we have to adopt it. Otherwise, we might not survive. So it's a question of survival, and that adoption has to happen. It might take in government, it takes more time, but ultimate adoption has to happen.
Very rightly pointed out. In fact, to overcome those frictions, government has to, you can say, align all those executives, all those people working within their ecosystem. But also, I think that involving a very good partner ecosystem is very important there. See, private companies or enterprises, public companies operate in a very good partner ecosystem, but in government that is not there. So how do you think this partner ecosystem should evolve? Your IT partner, your business partner, how they should be focusing on to drive these initiatives very smoothly? You can say from government as well as private organizations, both.
No, the whole game, the whole IT business game, the IT transformation or digital transformation or IT transformation is a collaborative game.
Yes.
Even in the private, you can't have IT standalone. It needs to be driven along with business. So today, the scenario has happened that IT has become an inherent part of the business. I mean, if you look at it 2 decades or 3 decades back, CIO had a very small role. Today,
Right.
the role of the CIO is as good as that of a CFO or a CEO. So IT is becoming a mainstream. It's becoming a part of the business rather than being a support function. So we need to understand that it has moved from a support function to a mainstream function. And the same thing is happening in government as well. So I think government has understood that this is the way it is to be driven. So that collaboration is very important. That is why today what is happening is even in government, when we conceive a project, we have to involve both the concerned department. Here the business is a concerned department, the department functions, and IT right from the beginning. So it is a collaborative game. Ultimately, the success of any transformation depends upon the collaboration.
Right, definitely, rightly pointed out. In fact, this good collaboration is only going to help for those successful initiatives or digital transformations that organizations are focusing for future. Any future trends you think is going to happen in India context or global context? Any future technology trends within 4 to 5 years? We have seen AI evolving, AI doing all those things, generative AI, agentic AI coming, but still companies are not able to get those favorable business outcomes. In fact, in one of the MIT studies, more than 80% of the AI related Gen AI projects have not given those ROI that they are expecting. How do you merge these things into future trends? What are some of the trends that you feel are going to be of real value or going to be of real transformation that is going to give a better business value to complete ecosystem, not any company, complete ecosystem?
I think one of the main things is, and you pointed it out right, it is agentic AI which has got to be focused, because what happens is agentic AI actually sort of helps speed up things. It helps reduce decision making to some extent, and automatically directs you to the right course of action. So other than agentic AI, one of the trends is going to be more or towards energy efficient computing. So there's got to be a lot of focus towards energy efficient computing, spatial technology, cybersecurity, because as digital footprints enhances, you will have security concerns also increasing. So there's going to be a huge focus on cybersecurity and human machine synergy. The main thing is human machine synergy, where you would look at automating most of the things. And what is currently also happening is the operational efficiency is actually getting increased because of hyper-personalization. So hyper-personalization plays a vital role, and in hyper-personalization, that's not possible without AI and without this human-machine synergy.
Right. And in fact, to accomplish all those things, initiatives, we need to have a very proper framework or governance model also.
Yes.
Every country, including India, needs to have that proper model or framework where they can execute these initiatives that they want. Can you just give an idea what kind of models they should be adopting, what kind of framework they should be having, or what kind of a proper way they should be having to get these things accomplished? What are key 3-4 areas they should focus on?
There is no single solution. And again, the solution, whatever I might say today, is dynamic. It is conditions which drive. The technology is improving so fast that those focus areas also become sort of dynamic. So having said that, you can't have a static framework. The frameworks, the modalities have to change with passage of time. So ideally, what today we should look at is in order to enhance customer centricity, as I mentioned, hyper personalization, there has to be a strengthened policy, governance and security has to be strengthened, plus resource upskilling. We need to look at our resources. We need to ensure, and that's the key to survival. If we are talking about new technologies, we need to make sure that we are skilled enough to adopt those technologies. So adoption of future technologies needs resource upskilling. Having said all this, one of the major things would be integration across multiple domains and, of course, doing it in a very ethical way.
Right, right. You touched upon the resources upskilling and workforce management. In fact, most of the organizations are focusing on these only. HR heads have a very bigger headache to get a right resource at a right optimum price within their organizations. And technology resources have evolved tremendously within these 10 to 15 years. It's become very difficult for
Yes.
HR leaders to get those things placed within their organizations. Can you give us some idea what are some of the latest, you can say, job roles that are going to come there within these technology resources that are going to be very scarce or very crucial for organizations to hire there to accomplish all these things, transformations that is going on currently, that we are seeing in market?
As of today, the latest job roles are in AI and they're also in data analytics. I think prompt engineering is coming up very fast. Today, as I was speaking to somebody today, the scenario is changing. Now people will not sit down and code. That era of a programmer sitting and coding is gone. It is more like having right prompt engineering to make a bot code for you. So it's creating bots, making bots work for you. That is going to be the sort of roles which come up. And I would say again, AI and data analytics. Analytics is going to be key because a lot of AI also depends upon data. Data analytics and AI go hand in hand. So job roles in that area are going to come up fast.
Yeah, very rightly pointed out. In fact, very useful that we need to be ready with AI readiness as well as analytics readiness to accomplish all those transformations that organizations are focusing on. And in fact, once a proper upskilling or reskilling program is there in place within the organizations, these things also can be accomplished. Creating a very better prompt model for software engineering teams and you can say development teams is going to be very crucial. Thanks a lot, Sunil sir.
And I would just add one more point.
Yeah.
Before we sign off. In order to support all this, you need a robust infrastructure.
Right.
So having said this, the government and there needs to be a sort of a government and public partnership to enhance the infrastructure, because as we grow forward, you will have infrastructure. So there has to be a robust infrastructure support.
Honestly, AI-ready infrastructure and GPUs are some of the crucial things that have skyrocketed some of company shares also. And they are going to be very crucial from India's point of view also. Just last one thing, any recommendation that you would like to give to our IT leaders who are currently progressing and how they should be focusing on technology, how they should be looking on development of their business as well as technology, both? Any recommendations to them?
I would say same. The recommendations are focus more on customer centricity by adopting new technologies and focus on data privacy and security, and more than anything else, have a policy for digital ethics in place. Digital ethics is going to be very, very important.
Great. I think we have got all those data points. Thanks a lot for this wonderful podcast series.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks a lot.
It was nice speaking to you. Thanks.
Thank you.